Often we get asked around, blockchain's a cool buzzword, but why would you use that in a messenger? It seems a bit strange. And the answer to that question is, yeah, absolutely. We don't use blockchain for the delivery of content in a specific messaging component, because the nature of blockchain so far is that it's not great for holding huge amounts of data. The transaction speeds are relatively slow comparatively. So it's a juggling act of different decentralized technologies to bring them together to really create a viable commercial solution. Because there is that real bridge, and it's something we learned with our first product launch, is there is a difference between a purist technology that is awesome and it is absolutely pure, and a technology that's commercially viable that people will actually adopt and use. Because I think it's the biggest thing in this industry, is we're moving into that phase where we need to start seeing more usable technologies that people can use, that they don't necessarily need to know is decentralized or on a really unique tech stack, to start to move people away from these other incumbent platforms. So in September last year, we launched the Sylo Smart Wallet on top of Sylo Protocol, which is now live. It's in app stores, so feel free to, in your free time, have a play around with that application. And it's essentially a private messenger combined with a crypto wallet in one. And our focus primarily with that was to prove that the Sylo Protocol infrastructure could scale. Because you've got a lot of hype, you've got a lot of technology, you've got a lot of money floating around in Decentraland in the blockchain space, but no one has yet proven to scale that this architecture can really move and operate in a real adoptable use case, rather than kind of niche development technologies and crypto enthusiasts. So our focus was, can we pop an app on top of this infrastructure that people could stack side by side with like a mainstream messenger and genuinely pick this thing up and use it and continue to use it? And will it spread? And will it get others into it? Because our focus has very much been on, yes, the fundamentals are hardcore, but we are focused not on the 2% of people already in the industry, but the 98% of people that aren't yet in the industry. And a key problem we were seeing was that people really into this space are like, well, I'm struggling to get my mates or my family or my friends into this thing. How do I get them into it? And a really easy entry point of a private messenger is a great way to kind of introduce new people into the space. And through the functionality of the application, they can just send some assets, some crypto, some currency directly to those contacts, and they're in the game, they're excited, they're interested to get a bit more involved, and it really gets people taking that first step into the world and getting over that this is really, really complex. How do I get my head around it from a simplified point of view? And over the last 6 months, we've seen really, really positive movement. So we've just had 250,000 users on the Smart Wallet application, covering a whole raft of different countries, which has been really exciting to see. It's obviously been a journey, because with the technology stack, as we scale and we see pumps in users, we've had to rustle around and figure out ways to make the stack handle that scale and move through it. But we've had a lot of really, really good learnings, and we're on track for a lot more growth moving forward. Now, we've recently just pushed through a pretty significant infrastructure update on that side. But our focus has always been around, Web3 is our focus. So what we saw, we believe, with Web 1 and Web 2 was the ability to get capabilities. The first and second generation platforms we've used have now given us these amazing technologies and capabilities to communicate with anyone and share with anyone on the other side of the planet. We believe Web 3 and this whole decentralized movement is firmly planted around focusing on the users. Who's behind the screen? It's not products. How do we want to be interacting with these capabilities now? And as the generations below us are coming up, how can we give these capabilities with confidence that your kids and their kids in the next 2, 3, 4 decades can genuinely use these technologies, and without the reservations and without the issues and the complexities and the one-sided scenarios. So that's very much where we're focused, is making these technologies that we believe have a fundamental benefit around privacy, around efficiency, around better use of technology, really getting these in front of users in a way that they can stack this up next to their the 90 other apps on their phone and go, hey, I can. This is a cool app to use, and I don't need to know it's decentralized. It just works for me. And once we get to the point where we have these applications sitting side by side, and one of them has the downsides involved with centralized infrastructure, the other gives the same functionality without those negatives, and it puts me more in the driver's seat from a user data standpoint. We think it's going to really become a no-brainer in terms of adoption as we move forward. And the benefit of things like assets and value transfer on the blockchain means we can really merge these two worlds of the communications world and the finance world. One area we're seeing really, really big adoption is in developing regions, particularly like India, Indonesia, Malaysia, regions that have big populations of unbanked. And what we saw around the sort of internet version 1 phase and the internet version 2 phase was that a lot of these developing nations actually leapfrogged the whole laptop hardwired internet phase and went straight to feature phones and smartphones. And what we're seeing is likely to happen is a similar model with traditional financial markets. So you've got large segments of these populations in these countries that just purely don't have access to bank accounts or traditional financial infrastructure, and it is unlikely that they will be able to. But then with fintech applications like Sylo, they can pick up an app, have assets transferred back and forth, create a trading market between themselves without either having to go through the traditional financial market, which is in a lot of cases quite biased against a lot of their agendas. It's almost going back to the barter system of ancient, but in a new world, which actually creates the ability for a market to exist beyond those centralized failure or control points. So there's a lot of interesting things for us. We're still very much in the early days. We're what we believe sort of leading the charge in mainstream adoption of decentralized technologies like blockchain, and we're really excited to kind of see other companies coming up beside us, really to build out and get adoption for these Web3 technologies, so that in a few years' time we're sitting with a really well realigned technology stack that is we can move forward with and use with the same level of confidence as we can have offline conversations and communications, because as we move forward in a post-COVID world, it really is just going to become more important that we can communicate digitally without those reservations and those benefits.